So on Thursday and Friday we did classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is considered stimulus response, okay, or respondent behavior. What we're doing today is operant conditioning, which is operant behavior. But now what's going to happen is we're going to be addressing how our actions kind of changed the environmental response. Okay, so it's actually we are going to be operating on our environment, and then our environment is going to respond to us. The first person that really talked about punishment-reward type of psychology is E.L. Thorndike, and he came up with the law of effect, which is a highly, not low, complicated topic. I don't know how he came up with this. It's genius that rewarded behavior is likely to occur again. Nobel Prize worthy. Write that down.
Really? At first,
no, not really, Henry. I'm being facetious. So, no, it's a very simple concept. Okay, rewarded behavior is likely to recur. All right, the guy that took it to the next level was B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner turned it into a science. B.F. Skinner, along with Watson, they believe that they could create pretty much anything to do anything they want it to do. B.F. Skinner created this chamber. It's called the operant chamber. Later it was known as the Skinner box. And it was to study operant behavior. Again, under operant behavior, this is your definition. We operate on our environment, and our environment responds to us. Okay, we operate on our environment, and then the environment responds to us. And from that, our behavior is shaped. Okay, and that's where operant comes from. We operate on our environment, and the environment responds to us, and that's how our behavior is shaped. Okay. All right, the Skinner box. Okay, it's a glassed-in box. All right, it's got coils on the bottom that can give electric shock. Okay, this isn't going to be for people. This is going to be for rats or for pigeons. We're not going to talk about the electric stuff. I want to make my room into a Skinner box.
Yeah.
All right. So the operant chamber also has water on the outside that leads in. And it's got a little, the tube for the water, and then the little nipple down there. It's got the bar. I don't know. It's got the bar right here. This is a press bar that it can push down on. It's got a light up here that we'll talk about in a little while. Well, not today, we won't talk about it. But there's like a light up there that can flash. Okay? And rats or pigeons hang out in there. And what you do is you train them to do whatever you want them to do. So I had a Skinner box in college for my behaviorism class, which was pretty awesome. And we would train rats during the year. That was our lab. And we would train them doing all these different types of scheduling of reinforcement and rewards and punishments and that sort of stuff. Okay, what Skinner proposed is that you could shape. You use this process called shaping to get the organism, to get the subject to do whatever it is, whatever behavior it is that you want them to do. So what you do with shaping is this. Shaping is reinforcing behaviors or responses. Reinforce responses as they get gradually closer to the desired goal. You reinforce responses as you get gradually closer to the desired goal. So, for instance, with the Skinner box, I had my pet rat, who I named after one of my college roommates, because I think the rat had a slightly bigger brain than he did. That's a true story. Okay, and you would have to train these rats, and it was like a contest in the class, and you would have to get the rat to do certain jobs. Okay, and the first one that we had to get the rat to do was to press down on the bar, okay, to get the water. Okay, so you have to make these rats highly motivated. So what you would do is you take water away from them for about 24 hours. Okay, all right. So this rat wanted water. He'd go into the Skinner box. He would go right to the tube. Okay, he'd go right to the water, and he would try to get water out. But water wouldn't come out of there unless we allowed it to. Okay, so the rat wouldn't know what's going on. He would just be mad, and he's trying to get the water. So all of a sudden, he's ticked off, and he's walking around the cage, and he gets close to the bar, and I have a manual clicker. And you click it, and when you click it, it makes the same sound as the bar. Okay, and then a droplet of water goes to the end of the tube. And the rat runs over and gets water. Rat doesn't know why yet. So the rat's still trying to get more water out of the tube. So he's not doing what we want him to do, but it was a start. Now the rat walks around the cage, gets close to the bar, the press bar again. Click. He hears that click. He knows that click. He got water last time he got that click. So he runs over there pretty fast and gets some more water. Okay, and he's still hanging out there. Okay, you keep doing this. He gets closer to the bar. Now he has to press up against the bar, like lean up against it. Next he has to touch the bar, and we click it. Then he has to stand on the bar. We click it. Okay, and finally, and just standing on the bar, he had to push down for this water to go out. So it would just run over there, stand on it, and run back, and wouldn't get water because we were gradually reinforcing him. And finally, he was so ticked off that he slammed down on the bar, and it clicked on its own. Oh, I get water. And it ran over and got some water. And then it would just go back and forth. Back and forth. Boom, 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 boom. Just boom, click, water. Boom, click, water. Okay? And what that is a shaping of behavior in the Skinner box. Now, they use shaping in therapies as well. Okay? And it's called behavior modification. Shaping with behavior modification. And I had to undergo that when I was in junior high and high school, because I thought every piece of furniture in the house was contaminated. It's weird, I know. But I felt like if I sat on any of the furniture that I was going to die. So the doctor would have me practice behavior modification on my own. Okay? So I would have to approach, it's called successive approximation is another term for it. I'd have to approach this stained, defiled piece of furniture that was the recliner. And the first thing I'd have to do is I'd have to lean up against it. And then my reward was removing myself from it. And the reward was the anxiety going away. Okay? But that wasn't enough the next time. And the doctor would get mad at me. So mean. The psychologist. And then next thing I'd have to pee. I'd have to pee a piece of flesh. I had to put a piece of flesh on the chair. And then my reward would be water. This is weird, isn't it? Doesn't it just sound weird? I know. Okay. I was messed up. And then I'd have to hold on to it. And I couldn't wash my hands. Okay? Because my relief of my anxiety whenever I had those problems was to ritualistically destroy my hands. Okay, washing them hundreds of times a day. So I couldn't wash my hand. My anxiety relief came from removing myself from that chair. And it would be a little stressful, but it was a lot better walking away from it than touching the chair. And then I'd have to sit in it. And slowly but surely, I realized that I wasn't going to die because I sat on this chair. Okay? So that's shaping, successive approximation, behavior modification. Okay? So they use that in a lot of therapies. Any questions so far? Now, we just talked about one form of shaping of behavior. We have different ways to reinforce. We have different styles of reinforcement that lead to different outcomes. Okay, the first one here, we have the immediate reinforcers. Immediate reinforcers, we do a behavior and the reward follows right away. With the pet rat, he pushed down on the bar and the water would come right away. Okay? But we could delay it as well. And a delayed reinforcer, you do a behavior and you pause. You have a pause before the reward comes. Okay? All right. Now, rats are dumb, but they're easily trainable. And this rat, he pushed down on the bar, and we'd have a 15-second delay on it. So he'd push on the bar, and he thought he'd get the water right away, but he didn't. So he'd run back and push on the bar again, and he wouldn't get it. He'd run back and push on the bar again, and he wouldn't get it. And after 15 seconds, the water would come out. And he'd do that a few times. And then finally, after a while, he'd wait 5 or 6 seconds because he knew it wasn't coming out right away. So he'd sit there and wait, and he'd stare at it. Then he'd try, and it wouldn't work, and then 15 seconds would pass, and he'd get it. And it got to the point where after about 15 or 20 trials, he would wait until about 12, 13 seconds before he would get the water. And then it was like 15 seconds, and he was right there getting the water. So he developed an internal clock of when he was going to be rewarded. Okay, now how about in the real world with immediate and delayed reinforcers? Why do people do things that are bad for them? Because they are oftentimes immediately reinforced for them. Okay, drugs, alcohol, tobacco. Okay, why do people do those things? Because they are immediately rewarded with euphoria, okay, some sort of high, maybe an escape from reality, that type of thing. They don't think about the delayed reinforcers. People don't smoke because they can't wait to get lung cancer. These are going to be more powerful for addicts. That immediate reward is more powerful than the delayed consequences. Okay? Now, if the delayed consequences came first, people would probably not do some of those things. Okay? But that immediate reinforcement is more powerful than the long-term effects. It's another way to put it. Okay? All right. We also have continuous reinforcement and partial reinforcement. Okay, continuous reinforcement is this. Every time you respond, you're reinforced. Every time you respond, you are reinforced. With that, our pet rat on that continuous reinforcement schedule, pushing the bar leads to water. Okay? That continuous reinforcement, that's going to allow a subject to acquire the behavior very fast. So the acquisition of the behavior is going to occur quickly. Learning takes place quickly. Acquisition of the behavior occurs rapidly, quickly. Okay? Now, with partial or intermittent reinforcement, actually, hold on. With continuous reinforcement, the acquiring of the behavior is going to be very, very fast. So why would you use any other kind? Is there a downside to continuous reinforcement?
Isn't extinction more likely to occur?
Very good. See, even though acquiring of the behavior is going to occur rapidly, extinction occurs rapidly as well. Okay, write that down. The extinction of the behavior will occur rapidly as well. Okay? So, the pet rat learns how to push down the bar rapidly, right? Okay, but when we took away that reinforcement, the rat pushes on the bar and he runs and he doesn't get water, pushes on the bar, runs and doesn't get water, he quits. Quits after 2 or 3 times of not getting water. Okay? Because of this continuous reinforcement schedule, okay, rapidly learned the behavior, but it became extinguished, it became extinct rapidly as well. Okay? Think of it this way. If you are constantly being rewarded for something, and then all of a sudden you're not, are you going to want to continue doing that behavior? No. No. Okay, if you're reinforced every time for getting your room cleaned on time, and then all of a sudden you stop, your parents say, no, you're not going to be rewarded anymore. Forget it, I'm not going to do it. Okay? It becomes extinguished very fast. Now, with partial or intermittent, like intermittent wipers. Okay, you are going to be reinforced on occasion. You'll be reinforced at varying times. Slower to acquire the behavior, but it's also slower to extinction. You can eat your apple, by the way, Damon. Okay. Okay. You're slower to acquire the behavior, but it's also slower to extinction. Okay. So we had our pet rat, and we would train him on an intermittent sequence for food. The rat would press on the bar, he'd be reinforced. He'd press on the bar, he wouldn't. Press on the bar, wouldn't. Third time he'd press on the bar, he would. Okay? Wouldn't, 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 would. Then 8 times, reinforced. Then 2 times, reinforced. Then 30 times, reinforced. 5 times, reinforced. When we took it away, that rat would press on that bar 50, 60, 70, 80 times. Okay? Took longer to train him, but extinction occurred very, very, very slowly. It took a long time for the rat to give up, in other words. Okay? All right, types of reinforcements and punishments is next. Okay, so, first off, we have positive reinforcement. Positive sometimes means good. Positive sometimes means bad. Positive always means giving something. Positive reinforcement. If we're reinforcing a behavior, do we want it to occur again? Yes. So we are going to be giving something good or bad? Good. We're giving something good. An example. You get straight A's, you get a dinner to your favorite restaurant. Okay, so you're giving something good. You clean your room, you do the dishes, whatever, you get an allowance for doing something. Okay, that's positive reinforcement. Now, we have negative reinforcement too. Negative doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. Negative means taking away. If you want a behavior to occur again, what are you going to be taking away? Something bad. You're going to take away something bad. An example. You get in your car, none of you, I know, none of you text while you drive. Okay? So you get in your car, you have a text message that you want to respond to. So you shut your door, you turn on your car, and you check your text messages. I just spit again. You check your text messages. And then all of a sudden you hear that absolutely aggravating, annoying beep, 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 beep to put on your seatbelt. You put your seatbelt on, the sound goes away. You take away something bad. You take away that annoying sound because you did a behavior that's good. You want that behavior to occur again. Another example. Okay, I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to wait on that until after I talk about positive punishment. Okay, positive punishment. You're giving something, right? And here you don't want the behavior to occur again. What are you going to be giving? Something bad. You give something bad, something aversive. Okay? Now, you give something bad. Positive punishment. A spanking. A speeding ticket. Being given something bad, a speeding ticket. Yeah?
Couldn't the beeping from the car to put your seatbelt on, couldn't that almost be one?
Right, and I'm going to talk about how they can combine. Yeah, because the positive punishment at first would be that loud noise. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that right now. Okay, now, so Damon just asked, could we have both positive punishment and negative reinforcement? Yes. Here, listen. Okay, a dog has an invisible fence, right? He's running out of the yard. What happens? He gets shocked, right? Positive punishment, right? And that shocking keeps going, right? He runs back into the yard. What happens? It goes away, and that's negative reinforcement. Okay, so with these, you need to be aware, okay, is something being given or is something being taken away? A dog could be getting shocked, but if it's the removal of the shock that we're focusing on, that's negative reinforcement. If a dog is getting shocked and we're giving that dog a shock and that's the focus, then that's positive punishment. Okay. Wrigley, okay, negative punishment is taking away something good. Taking away something good. You get a speeding ticket, you're positively punished. And your parents take away your car. Taking away something good.
What about paying it? With like
Well, that's,
your money?
again, that's taking away your money, taking away something good. That would be negative punishment as well. So the giving of the ticket is positive punishment. The taking away of your money is negative punishment.
Okay.
Yep. Yes. So again, it just depends on how you view it. All right. By far, reinforcing qualities are the best to create the behaviors you're looking for. Okay, the reinforcing qualities are by far much more efficient. All right, schedules of reinforcement, our last thing. Did you all get the examples down too? Fixed ratio. Okay, fixed ratio. These are schedules of reinforcement. When are we rewarded for our behavior? Okay, the first one is a fixed ratio. Okay, it's reinforcing a behavior after a set number of responses. Reinforcing a behavior after a set number of responses. Okay, you've all done fundraising before, right? Okay, let's say you're selling those $10 or $20 cards with the deals on them. Right, so do I. But for every 10 of those you sell, you get a t-shirt. Oh, I hate it. I did it once. It was the dumbest thing I ever did. You sell 10 of those, you get a t-shirt. You sell 10 more, you get a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, whatever. So after a set number of responses, you're rewarded. That is a fixed ratio schedule. Have you ever heard of piecework? Okay. For example, I did roofing for, I did roofies. I did roofing for don't write that down, like 3 or 4 summers. And you could either get paid in piecework or hourly. I chose hourly, okay? And here's the deal. You can get paid $12 an hour, or you can get paid $12 per square. It's called $12 per square foot. Okay, so for every square foot of roof that you tear off and you put on, you get paid $12. Okay, you can get a square foot done in an estimated 30 to 35 minutes. So think about it. Why wouldn't I do the piecework? Why wouldn't I do that? Yeah.
Because as the day goes on, you get tired and your 30, 35 turns into an hour.
Okay. Okay, so what happens with all fixed ratio schedules? Ready? Rapid number of responses, right? So like Nick said, I am working and working and working in piecework. So I'm getting paid like $24 an hour compared to $12 an hour, right? So I'm rapidly taking off roof, putting on roof, right? Super fast. After 4 or 5 hours, I put in 4 or 5 hours of work, I'm gassed. So now it might be taking me an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, so what happens then is with fixed ratio, it's rapid response, but quickly extinguishes. It quickly goes away. Usually because of fatigue. Because you get tired. Because you're responding over and over and over, and you get wiped out. And with these roofing jobs, a lot of people that do it per square, they last 2 weeks. They last 3 days. Because they can't keep up that breakneck pace. Okay? All right, any questions on that? All right, variable ratio. Variable ratio is when you're reinforced after an unpredictable number of responses. This is why gambling is so addicting. You're reinforced after a variable number of responses. Okay? Slot machine. You pull the slot machine, pull the slot machine, pull the slot machine, reinforced. Pull the slot machine, reinforced. Pull the slot machine 12 times, reinforced. Okay? Pull the slot machine 7, 8 times, nothing, nothing, nothing. 17th time, reinforced. The next thing you know, you're on the dollar slot machines and you've lost $450 sitting there for an hour and a half. Because these slot machines are on this variable ratio schedule. With a variable ratio schedule, it will be very, 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 very fast number of responses. People can't pull that slot machine deal fast enough. Very fast number of responses, but it's going to be more difficult to extinguish. Fast number of responses, but more difficult to extinguish. I have my own addictive variable ratio schedule, and that's musky fishing. The fish of 10,000 casts, no, we don't kill. First of all, I'd have to catch one, but no, we don't kill. But you cast and cast and cast and cast and cast, and you don't know when you're going to hit one or whatever, and all of a sudden you get a follow or you raise one, and you see this beautiful monster popping out of the water, and you get that adrenaline and that rush, and it's enough to get you to cast 2,000, 3,000 more times, because any time that next cast could land you the world record, okay? So, and again, with variable ratio, that's going to be based off of casts. That's going to be fishing with cast, not just fishing and letting it sit out there. Okay? All right, fixed interval. Now this is going to be based off of time, not off of responses. You still obviously have to respond, but it's going to be based off of time. So fixed interval schedule, now you're reinforced for your first response after a set amount of time. All right, I always get the same kind of pizza. It's called 5 for $10. Doesn't matter what brand, 5 for $10. And they all take 12 minutes to cook, okay? And I'm well aware that it takes 12 minutes. I know that. But after 5 minutes, I just want to check. Maybe it's done. Maybe it'll just be a little faster this time. After 7, 8 minutes, maybe now. Maybe this one will cook faster. Maybe this is a different 5 for $10. And then at 10 minutes, 10 minutes and 15 seconds, 10 minutes and 30 seconds, 11 minutes, 11 minutes. And the closer and closer you get to that set time, the more you respond. So what your responses are going to look like, they're not going to be slow and steady. They're not going to be fast and furious. What they are going to be is a combination of both. So early on, you're not going to have a lot of responses. But, ready? When you get closer to the set time, you're going to see a rapid increase in responses. So as it gets closer and closer to that set time, you're going to have a bundle of responses. Anybody doing any Christmas cookie decorating and stuff? You put it in the oven, and you wait, and you check, and then you don't, and then you check, and then the closer and closer they get to done, you just keep checking. And that's a fixed interval schedule. Huh? Oh, because it gets closer and closer to that. Yeah. I think that's a great example. Once it gets closer to the time, and you check it more frequently too, right? Yeah, like auctions on the web and stuff. Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah.
What about like the end of class, all like the last 2 minutes, people look at the
Keep
clock?
looking at the clock. Same thing. Yeah. Not in here though. Variable interval. Variable interval. You are reinforced for your first response after a varying amount of time. You never know how long it's going to take. This is going to be more along the lines of steady responding, and very difficult to extinguish as well. Variable interval is going to be the most steady of the responding. Okay? Okay, you have your phone on you. It can't be on. You don't have it on vibrate. And you constantly check it. Do I have a text? No. Do I have a text? No. Do I have a text? No. Do I have a variable interval.
People think it's like
Okay. Any questions?
when they walk by now.
All right, for tomorrow we're going to have an oral quiz. Let the folks know that aren't here.
Okay.
Let's just not.
On just today's notes or?
On just today's notes. On operant conditioning only.
Shoot.
Yeah.
For reinforcement, the immediate delay continuous partial, can those can combine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, they can.
They're not mutually
Say it
exclusive.
was
No.
always
Okay.
better.